is the regular season finale, and hopefully it lives up to the billing. Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville playing host. Hartford Athletic below the playoff line, but playing their best football of the year. Ready to take on the East's #1 seed, Louisville City. Mike Watts, Chris Nurse, glad to have you along tonight. It is a fascinating night for the bottom three in the playoff picture in the Eastern Conference. Memphis and Tampa Bay can flip pending results. Birmingham knows they finished fourth and with a home playoff game. But Detroit and Miami just finished up in recent minutes. We'll get to that action later on. For Louisville, they clinched the #1 seed with a win against Detroit last weekend. For the first time in the Danny Cruz era, Louisville comes from behind at halftime to win a game. They win it 2-1, goals from Hopido, Harris, and Winder in that one. All Louisville or former Lou City players. And Chris, I turn to you. What a year it's been for Louisville City on the field. Records set across the board.
Yeah, and I think when we talk to head coach Danny Cruz, his ability to manage players has been the key to getting the success out of the team. And we have to take a hat off to him. He's been the best team over the course of 9 months, week in, week out. They deserve to be regular season champions. I personally hope that they can go on and now seal it and double up and win the playoffs.
Now, if Louisville's to do that, they won't have Kyle Morton in goal today. It's a slight muscular injury. They hope to get him back sooner than later. But it's Dia and Tosh and Winder and Sharpie and Perez who've led the way.
Yeah, and these two, Dia and Tosh, they've been part of a formidable defense and making this home a fortress. This is a team that's really, very rarely this season lost at home, and that's very important in the chemistry and the cohesiveness that they built in this squad that's allowed them to be successful. It's definitely a squad that's built on the success of the defense.
Yeah, meanwhile, for Hartford, you could say precisely the opposite. Remember last time these teams played, Harry Watling was the coach. Less than 48 hours later, he was not. Ray Reed steps in. Now Tab Ramos.
Yeah, and this is, if you look at the past 7 games, I think Hartford has scored maybe 20 goals in 7 games. So goal scoring definitely hasn't been a problem. But when you look at their defense, even in the past game in the loss last week to Oakland, there were two of the 3 goals that were really down to individual errors. So they really need to tighten up defensively to really take this team to the next level.
Hartford 5-2-1 in their last 8 games, and on a picture-perfect night, they close out their campaign trying to pick up the greatest win of their season. It's Louisville and Hartford lineups and kickoff when we return after these messages and a word from your local station.
You want a tough truck?
Take a look at this Toyota Tacoma. The best-selling truck in its class 17 years in a row.
Want to know why? Let's go for a ride. We went to an off-road park to see what the rugged new Tacoma can really do.
And we were blown away.
With multi-terrain select, you can go from rocks to mud and sand just like that.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about.
During Toyota's fall truck season, save on a new Tacoma with new vehicles arriving daily, plus 2-year no-cost maintenance.
Nobody knows trucks like Toyota. Let's go places.
I love WDRB, the way their chemistry and the way they communicated and the enthusiasm that they had.
First-time viewers watch WDRB in the morning.
Everybody just seemed like a family, and it was like that the whole time I watched. They had the same chemistry.
So nice.
That is nice.
I do feel like we're family, though. You, me, Mike, and Jude, we've been together for 4 hours every weekday morning for 11 years.
When the Thompsons first bought their house, all they saw was their dream home. They didn't yet know that with a home equity line of credit from Commonwealth Credit Union, it would be their keys to epic cannonballs and the chance to see the world. As years went by, it allowed them to empower the next generation and make happily ever after come true. Which begs the question, what could your home be doing for you? Let's find out together. Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
911, what's your emergency?
Fox Mondays are back.
I'm not gonna let anything happen to my son.
Remain calm! Elliot, be done!
No one can ever know the truth.
The season premieres of 911, followed by The Cleaning Lady, this Monday on Fox.
We're heading into all-wheel drive season, and nobody has more to choose from than Toyota.
That's why we're back in the aggressively styled Toyota Highlander.
The Highlander can handle whatever comes your way.
It's got room for 8, connectivity for all your devices. No wonder it's the best-selling SUV in its class.
Highlander all-wheel drive can even come with an electrified hybrid powertrain.
Now, during Toyota's fall saving season, you can save thousands in fuel costs on an electrified Highlander hybrid.
Plus, get 2 years no-cost maintenance.
Toyota. Let's go places.
Tonight's starting lineups are presented by Craft House Pizza. For Louisville City, they are missing Ownby, Morton, and Bone, notably.
Yeah, and you just wonder if some of those missing numbers is going to disrupt the momentum that they've had this year. We spoke to Danny Cruz. He gave Gibson in the center of the park a ton of credit for the success that they've had, but one of the main players has been Wilson Harris, 22 years old, top goal scorer for this team, 15 goals so far this season. At 22, that's a huge accomplishment. I think there's a lot of bright things in the future for this guy.
And that's why he's the Commonwealth Credit Union player to profile here tonight. So Harris leads the line for Louisville against a Hartford Athletics side led by Tab Ramos. They make one change, Perpa in, Lewis out.
Yeah, and this is a fairly consistent lineup to what we saw last week. Obviously, last week's game, disappointing first half, but the second half was one of the best performances that they've had this year, and they're going to want to build upon that. In attack, they've been free-flowing, scoring goals at will, but defensively, there's a lot to be worked on and a lot of room for improvement. So it's going to be interesting to see the last opportunity of the season to go out there and put on a performance tonight.
And here we go. Regular season finale. Louisville's already wrapped up the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Hartford is trying to measure themselves against the best in the East as they close out the campaign. Louisville City wins, points, and club shutout records already attained. You and I were asking Danny Cruz, how do you keep this side motivated coming into a final game where literally they can't gain anything? They can't jump San Antonio. They can't fall beneath any team in the East or the West as it pertains to home field advantage for the playoffs or the final for that matter. And he said, look, 70 is a nice number, but also momentum is real.
Yeah, and of course, they want to sustain the record that they have at home. They've made this stadium an absolute fortress. Last thing I want to do is go away, end the season on a dull note, allow a team to come here and beat them and not take that positive momentum that they've had over the course of the season into the playoffs. And I think he has to find the balance of continuing to have that strong mentality, players going out there fighting, competing every game. But obviously, injuries is an issue because we're seeing a number of changes tonight due to injuries. He wants to have his best team fresh out there come the playoff game in 2 weeks' time. So a delicate balance is definitely, this is where his managerial skills are getting put to the test.
Tulu slides in front of Musha Galusa, and a little English on that pushes it out over the end line for a 5-5 corner. Tab Ramos does like that center back pairing that he's been able to put together.
Yeah, you know, he did speak. He was maybe a little bit disappointed with some of the individual defending last week. A couple of goals were given up from individual errors in ways that he didn't envision his players could, and it probably had some strong conversation with them. Defense is definitely the area of the field that they need to strengthen going forward, albeit with this personnel that they have, or seeing some key changes throughout the offseason. But offensively, they've been very good over the past 7 games, 20 goals scored.
Service cleared away by Mojadama. And picked up by Odell. Well, Chris, part of that discussion isn't just the individual errors when you are one-on-one. It's that the team isn't effectively pressing the way Tab Ramos wants his team to press. He said all the statistics for the season would indicate that we're near the bottom of the league, and that has to change.
Yeah, and you know, you can already see he's starting to put his imprint, his identity onto this team game by game. So you imagine having an off season and then a full pre-season to do that. You know, you can only see bright things coming for this team in the future. I think one of the things that stand out is, in the discussion we had with Tab Ramos, was his ability to man-manage players. At 36 years old, many people would have written off Ariel Martinez, but he's found a way to manage him and bring him back to form. And he's been outstanding in his past 9 games. I think it's seven or eight goals in the past 9 games, and he looks like one of the youngest, fittest players out there. And he's not afraid of managing big personalities or players in the team with experience. You know, sometimes new coaches come in and immediately they go for the youth. And Tab Ramos was clear about it. He said he feels like that's the easy route. It's easy to go with the youth because they're going to listen and do anything that you say. The experienced players, if they're good enough.
Harris snaps the header at Odell.
And they can still contribute, then he doesn't have any issue at all with having those guys in the squad. And I think that's a testament to his capabilities and his man management skills.
Well, there is Martinez, seemingly ageless once again, as he was last year, with 13 goal contributions with Miami. Pirouettes around Martinez, a man on a mission. Floated across, Joel Johnson brings it down. He was with Charlotte last year, and their franchise folded following a loss at Louisville in the playoffs, and a corner to come, won by Joel Johnson. Johnson's playing a little different position than we remember back in the Independence days.
Yeah, he's sitting as a 6 in this team, doing a lot of the dirty work, sitting as a holding midfielder, and he has Danny Barrera, who has more of a floating role around the midfield. Sometimes he's higher, sometimes he drops alongside him, which can be very difficult for the opponents to pick up, because Barrera is a player who has a lot of quality in that left foot. So when he comes more defensively and he's able to almost pick up balls and spray 60, 70 yards, but then get high up the field and play in very delicate through balls, it's a hard player for midfielders to pick up.
Johnson, near post. That's smashed away. We'll tell you the Commonwealth Credit Union has been bettering lives in the communities they serve since 1951. To learn more, visit WeSeeYouDifferently.com. Odell, living in a different universe, launches that forward. Barrera. Johnson and Apollon slide in from Perez. Let's take a look at tonight's keys to the game, brought to you by the Bobby Pinkston team at RE/MAX Premier Properties. Score the home of your dreams with the Pinkston team.
Yeah, well, for Louisville City, don't get complacent. Having already won the championship and players taking time off now of injuries to get themselves right for the playoffs, it's very easy to get complacent and kind of take a mentality where you take your foot off the gas. And with that mentality, you're going to lose momentum. So it's very important that they don't lose momentum and they don't get complacent. For Hartford, on the other hand, you know, for a few weeks now, we've been trying to see the complete 90-minute performance from them. Earlier in the season, they were playing a good first half, dying off in the second half. Last week, they played a poor first half, very good in the second half. We're wondering tonight if they can go out with a bang with a complete 90-minute performance.
Danny Fondes puts up a decent performance in his first action of the game. Kyle Morton with a muscular injury. They expect he'll be back for the postseason.
Martinez has been involved early with everything in the attacking third going forward. Wicked deflection here. Goalkeeper did well to get down and push it up wide of the post.
Danny Barrera to take the corner for Hartford. Short Johnson. Martinez. Well, they had an idea there and it broke down.
You give them an A for creativeness and an E for execution.
Mushagalusa. Serrano, a D for deflection. Perez. Now for Louisville tonight, you mentioned that momentum. They also, to your point, want to stay healthy. So Harris and Gibson both likely to see little beyond halftime. If it falls in 4 games, you think he's feeling okay?
Yeah, and I think he wants to keep playing every game, and this is what you were just talking about in terms of managing the players now going towards the playoffs. He wants to keep that goal scoring momentum. He doesn't want to sit out of games, because once you get in the flow of things and you get that rhythm, you want the game to keep coming thick and fast so you can continue to keep that confidence and that performance going. So it's a very, very delicate task that Coach Danny Cruz has in how he manages these players in a not so normal situation with that bye week going into the playoffs.
Sadie, that bounces back to Martinez and down to Perpa. Reason he'll probably get 55, maybe 60 minutes is because Cameron Lancaster, one of the all-time leading scorers, not just for this franchise, in the league, 73 goals. It's due for about half an hour's work tonight. So you'd hate to come off if you're Wilson Harris with nothing and watch Lancaster bag a couple while you're busy watching.
Of course, and strikers naturally a little bit greedy and selfish, but in a very positive way. Like they want to play every minute, they want to score goals. So, and I'm sure that's his mentality, and irrespective of what stage of the season or qualifying for the playoffs already and winning the regular season. He wants to score as many goals as possible, and as long as the clock's ticking and there's an opportunity to do that, he wants to be out on the field.
Away from Martinez. And we're glad you stuck with us. If you flipped over, it's my understanding the players involved in this game won't have to flee the field with a rush of fans. Mushagalusa curls at frame. Chidama took the brunt. How about we take a look at tonight's weather report? It's presented by Advanced ENT and Allergy. That's about precisely what you're hoping for this time of year.
Perfect conditions, no wind, so neither team has to deal with the wind behind them, and 61 degrees. You couldn't ask for better temperatures to get out there, perform and play at a high tempo. Sometimes during the summer, the heat really does have a huge impact on the tempo of play, because it means that you cannot be intense and press and be aggressive in your energy all the time. You have to kind of go in bouts where you go hard and then you sit back a little bit. But when the weather's like this, the players can really play at the highest tempo and intensity that the game asks for.
You know, you played and lived in South Florida and beyond, further south. Does it ever get comfortable to play 90 and humid? No?
I mean, in Florida, there's a period of the year when it does get cool, but that's around Christmas when there's not really any soccer playing. But it definitely, you have to learn ways to manage the game, but also to manage your body, because you lose so much fluids in practice and during the course of the game that you really have to pay attention and detail to how you look after yourself as an athlete who's training and pushing your body to the limits every day. It's a little bit different when you're playing in cooler temperatures, because you don't sweat and lose as much fluids as you do in the heat. So it's a different challenge, but it's definitely something you enjoy, and it's all about your preparation for the matches and training sessions.
Tosh angles it forward. Running back Ash Apollon. Really good performance for Apollon. And you talk about the opportunity. Yeah, Hartford's season is going to end tonight, no matter what the result is. A lot of these players are out of contract in a couple weeks' time. And Apollon with a strong 90-minute performance in a 3-1 loss against Oakland last time out. Fondez jumps over that.
Yeah, I think the test for Hartford is as much as about their abilities and performance about the character. You know, Tab Ramos will be looking at the characters of the players in a difficult situation, and the difficult situation is the biggest test that these players can be in, because everybody can be good when things are going well. You know, how do you perform when you're out the playoffs? What's your standards like in training? What's your standards like in game? This is more of a defining factor of who you are consistently. And he's going to be looking at the characters that he wants to continue to build with for the following year, on top of how they're able to perform on the pitch. And I think they've definitely responded well since he's taken over the leadership reins. We've seen an uptick in their performances. Many of the head coaches we speak to say he cannot believe that this team are not in the playoffs, because they're performing like a team that should be in the playoffs. And if they'd had the form that they're in now earlier in the year, you know, most arguably they probably would be a playoff team. But I think he's definitely got a response out of this team so far. Definitely, I think they will scour the transfer market during the off-season, so nobody in this team can afford to get complacent. And I think that we probably will see this team in the playoffs come 2023.
Last year they started 3-0-1, but faltered after that. This year they started 0-6-1, primarily on the road. Felt like their season was over before it began, but they finished on that 5-win, 2-loss, and a draw stretch with these last 8 games. Arguably the most exciting run in Hartford athletic history, other than perhaps the shortened 2020 season that Roddy Jaidi piloted them to the postseason. This portion of tonight's game is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Tonight's trivia is brought to you by Tony's Brake and Alignment. Louisville City has dropped points in their final home game of the regular season just once. And I guess we've already got an answer. Did you know? Just that Independence team, that's it. Other than that, all wins.
The trivia question also gave you the answer.
Yes, indeed. I was worried that I had stumped you. Alas.
Maybe we'll come up with another one, seeing as we made that one a little too easy.
Yeah, you can come up with that one. I've done my job. Sadie for Budati. That's going to be a corner. Hartford's doing a job so far. They've hung in there quite well.
Yeah, it's definitely been a fairly even first 15 minutes to this game. The possession's been fairly even between both teams. We haven't seen really either keeper tested so far in this game, apart from a shot from distance from Harris, but both teams kind of feeling each other out as the game continues.
Barrera headers away. Appeal for a handball. Referee says that came off of the bicep. Ball ahead, Mushagalusa. Harris, Tab Ramos arguing his case, pleading. Nevertheless, Mushagalusa blasts it right at Odell. Well, Hartford avoids what would be a real double whammy, but Louisville escaped the clutches of an early penalty.
It's a wild series of events, because if the referee blows his whistle here, it's a penalty kick. However, he doesn't blow his whistle. I think it clearly hits his hand, and then Louisville are off on the counter-attack and end up almost scoring off a goal of what maybe should have been a penalty kick to Hartford. I think Tab Ramos is justifiably upset in the circumstances, and the referee want to review that situation. A huge let-off there for Louisville.
Service across. Odell sets that like a volleyball player out the other side.
I think it's going to be a couple of minutes before Tab Ramos is able to calm down from that situation. A great opportunity for his team. Justifiably probably should have a penalty and have an opportunity to put themselves in the lead. But now they're deep in their own half, defending a barrage of attacks from Louisville City. Referees cannot, of course, get the decisions right all the time, but that was a pretty clear handball.
Yeah, I'll join you in that. We'll try and keep you updated on results elsewhere tonight as they pertain to the playoff seeding. Ball across and Odell yanks it down. Well done by Perez. The swing back in there. Del Piccolo. Perez and line. Cuts it all the way across. Bangs off Serrano. He swept it back in on the line. And it had already crossed over.
Huge let-off here. Should have really stopped this cross when the ball comes down the line. It was too easy to get this ball into the box for Perez. Should have been blocked here by Apollon, but he doesn't stop the cross, and very lucky not to see this end up in the back of the net. Good delivery into the box. Just unable to get any clean connection.
Martinez swings that over the top, snagged by Fondez. Danny Fondez grew up in Seattle, played for Sounders too, went on to Orange County, 2 years, never played a minute. Arrived at an open tryout, he flew himself here, rented his car for a week, and waited for his chance to impress, and he did. He stepped in when Morton and Siegfried were down early in the season, started 4 games, this is 5th.
Talk about taking advantage of your opportunity, or creating your own opportunity in some circumstances, and then there's no looking back, right?
And what an unforgiving position that is too, goalkeeper.
Yeah, it's a definitely a unique mentality and a mindset that goalkeepers have to have. Strikers, of course, you can make a mistake and you have your midfielders and your defense and your goalkeepers to bail you out. As a goalkeeper, when you make mistakes, more often than not, they end up being huge mistakes that cost goals. And psychologically, it's a very unique position that players have to deal with. And that's why we call it the goalkeepers union, where goalkeepers understand goalkeepers. And of course, you have to be a little bit crazy, right? You stand in between the sticks and you let people smash the ball at you as hard as you can. That's why I say goalkeepers are a little bit good crazy most of the time.
Indeed. You can see at the top right corner, if you're into these kinds of things, spoilers, Miami knocks off Detroit. Detroit can now finish no higher than 6th place. And Pittsburgh and Detroit split their season series, so it actually go an additional tiebreaker down. But that, of course, requires Pittsburgh to lose to Oakland. So still some movement to come. Serrano tees that up, curling effort, swings over the bar. Amadou Dia missed that by a narrow margin.
Great effort here. All starts with Musha Galusa driving through the center of the park, committing players, great individual skill here. Sucks the defenders out, and then he's able to find Dia out on the left-hand side all alone, and he uses his not favored foot, he's left-footed, uses his right foot and just tries to bend it under the crossbar into the far corner, and this isn't far away at all. Here you see just doesn't dip enough to end up on frame, but great build-up and great effort there.
Well, Amadou Dia trying to snag his first goal of the year at the right time.
A player that obviously brings so much experience to this team, having spent time with Kansas City in the MLS and being a winner in a number of games and tournaments, brings that experience and having been there and done it before to this team.
Runs all the way down to Fondes. Now, this is a different formation that may ask Dia to perform a little bit higher up the field than typical. Louisville's known, for the most part, as a 4-back team.
Yep.
Against RGV, they felt the 3 high players almost never came beyond the halfway line, so they went to a 3-back to isolate that group. Ball whipped across again, seeking Musha Galusa, comes out to Johnson. Louisville against Detroit went back to the favored 4-back, but Antoine Hopino knew their kryptonite, stayed high and wide. Louisville switched to a 3 again. The expectation is, regardless of where the game's at, they're going to end up switching into a 4-back, but they're intrigued by it, right?
I think playing the 3 actually gets the best out of Dia also, because you see he has the natural attacking tendencies where he likes to attack deep into the final third. He does have good ability to take players on. He does deliver dangerous balls into the box. And when he's in a 4 and he displays those attacking attributes, he often leaves holes behind him that teams can exploit. So I think the playing with the 3 at the back allows him to get the best out of him, both offensively and defensively. I think when they switch to a 4, they can sometimes be exposed on the counter-attack.
Well, there are questions for Danny Cruz to consider. You change tactics 3 games left in the year and perform well with them, and
I think it's a case of they know going into the playoffs they cannot be a one-trick pony.
Correct.
They need to have a couple of formations and adjustments under their sleeve and not allow teams to now watch their games knowing that they have nothing to play for and become predictable and be able to say, okay, we know what they're going to do. Be able to switch formations doesn't just allow other teams to not make them predictable. It allows them to have the ability to adjust during the course of games. And of course, that was something we spoke to Tab Ramos about last week when Hartford didn't have a very good first half. You know, what was the key to a much better second half, if not the best second half you've had over the course of the season? And it was to adjustments that he made tactically at halftime. And I think being the best coach, one of the best coaches in the league and going on to win a championship, definitely being able to make adjustments throughout the course of the game is a key skill that you need to have. And I think Danny Cruz is playing with that at the right time because he has the leverage, he has the opportunity to do that. Some teams don't have the opportunity to do that, and they don't necessarily have the players who have the capabilities to fluctuate between 2 formations. So they have to stick to one style and become very predictable.
Musha Galusa. Oh, good turn. Gallops forward. Dia hoovers it up. Circles around, header to the back post, and Harris watches that tantalizingly bounce by, and Del Piccolo was closing in on it too.
And you can see why Harris has so many goals. Whenever there's an opportunity, he just always seems to be in and around the right place at the right time. It's just his instinct. He doesn't know Dia's going to deliver this ball with his right foot, which he really does. But Harris is there in the right area at the right time, just instinctively tries to guide this into the far corner. Doesn't get as much on it as he would have liked, but you always sense that danger and threat when Harris is in the box and in and around the 6-yard box.
By the way, that tactical change that you noted, 2 holding midfielders or 1 last week, as well as a little bit of bite from Tab Ramos in the halftime locker room as well, and he felt they responded with probably the best 35 minutes of soccer that they had played under his 6 games. He also felt they could maybe get in behind Louisville a little bit, and Sadie runs afoul of the offside flag.
And we also discussed, you know, Danny Barrera being one of the key players in his team. How do you get the best out of him?
Yeah.
You know, he comes very deep and picks up the ball from the centre-back so that he can get on the ball, but he's most effective when he's able to pick up the ball in the final third and he's able to unlock defences and through balls for his teammates. And he says, look, we want to try to get him higher up the field, but we have to work with what we have right now. And right now he has to drop in sometimes alongside Johnson to help with the build-up. But the goal is to try and get him in dangerous positions as high up the field as possible, where he can play to the best of his potential and be most effective for the team.
Toulouse sends that away, a little misconstrued perhaps by Yunus Boudadi. By the way, to your point about versatility, having a couple of tricks up your sleeve, being able to be a little flexible in the playoffs. This comes up to Mushagalusa. Perpa creatively gets it away. Maybe the reason Louisville failed to win the Eastern Conference Final in some people's mind is that Tampa Bay made 1 personnel change with 7 tactical switches attached to it in real time.
Yeah, and I think you're looking at the way the league has evolved itself. You're now looking at leagues where there's multiple staff. You know, some staff are positioned up in the stands where they can see the game from a bird's eye view. You have so much video access. You have so many different members of staff looking at the way the opponent's attacking. You have somebody looking at the way your team's building out. There at halftime, you get so much information that you're able to make very effective in-game changes, and that's been kind of the development of coaching, but the growth of the league at the same time. So I always find that the teams that are most successful are the ones that are able to adjust throughout the course of the game and take advantage of the spaces that the other teams leave open to be exploited.
Hey, don't miss your opportunity to cheer on the boys in purple at Lynn Family Stadium next season. Louisville City FC 2023 season tickets are on sale now. LouCity.com/tickets. They filled the FAM earlier this year. Another nice crowd tonight. And Hartford can say they sold out their final 5 games of the regular season at home. Winder, tad overzealous, pours over the back of Boudadi.
And we spoke about that with Hartford. You know, if you can sell out your home 5 games when you're out the playoffs, what could that franchise potentially do when they're in the playoffs and there's still a lot to play for?
I mean, you and I were talking with Tab Ramos. He goes, it may not be the biggest venue, but everyone who's there is fully into the game.
Yep.
I'm sure you've played in front of a handful of disinterested crowds over your career from time to time.
Sometimes you have to create that atmosphere yourself, right? Sometimes at home, your home support can give you, almost be like the 12th player, give you that extra momentum and courage that you need. Then sometimes you're playing against fans away from home that make it very difficult for you to play, and then sometimes you're playing in stadiums that don't have so many people, and you have to kind of motivate and create that atmosphere for yourself.
Serrano teed that up really well for Harris, who couldn't keep it down. Harris has created 3-4 chances in the first half hour.
Yeah, he's been in the right place at the right time a number of times, and Hartford need to pay closer attention to him, because it's only a matter of time before one of these chances that he's ending up on the end of ends up in the back of the net. This is a good header here. He's just unable to get it down. He does get the right power in it, the right direction. The goalkeeper's stranded. You see, he doesn't move it, but just unable to get it on frame.
How do you manage that if you're Hartford, right? Because you see the center back, Jadama, coming toward the ball to try and cut that off. Del Piccolo's making that central run, so Tulu pulls toward that. Way out on the edge, you've got Dia pouring in down the left, and then you've got Harris unmarked. It's a numerical disadvantage, no?
You know, but you know the dangerous play. You know Harris is the one who has the hot foot, who's capable of putting the ball into the back of the net. So you know anytime the ball is in a dangerous situation, somebody almost has to take man-to-man responsibility to make sure that Harris isn't the one that's going to finish it. So whether that's going to be Jadamo or Yakubu or Badadi tucking in and then Sadi's coming back to pick up Dia as a midfielder tracking, somebody has to make sure that they are touch tight to Harris, and he doesn't have time and space in the box, because inevitably there's a reason he has 15 goals, because he's good at finishing.
Well, right now there's 2 players shading around him, and there's the ball in front. There's contact, and that is Tosh.
And even if you watch, when this ball's delivered into the box, if you watch Harris's movement, as the ball's being delivered, he makes late runs across the face of the defenders so that he can get to the ball first. His movement is what also allows him to create space to get into these goal-scoring opportunities.
Well, Paulo's not going to care for that verbal gaffe on my part. They both leap like salmon out of a river, but that was Del Piccolo with the foul. Perhaps he was happy to not be the one labeled as the player committing the foul. Apologies.
You can see Danny Cruz isn't giving anything away. Although they're the regular season champions, he's still screaming and kicking every ball there with the players. And, you know, we gave him a lot of credit when we spoke to him this week. We said to be the #1 team over the course of 9 months, week in, week out, producing, managing players, keeping players healthy, going out there, winning games, making your home field such a fortress. For me, that's the biggest accolade that you can achieve over a coach, because it's being good over a prolonged period of time. We know that the regular season champions don't necessarily go on and win the playoffs, but I hope that he does, so he can kind of reinforce that how good he has been as a coach and how good his team has been this year, because it would be crazy for them to be the best team over 9 months. And in 3 or 4 weeks' time, we don't even remember who were the regular season champions. So, you know, lots of credit to Danny Cruz for the way he's managed his team over the course of this year.
Have you seen the trophy that San Antonio fashioned for themselves as winning the outright league title?
No.
It's like a physio ball, and they threw USL champion and then ship below it because they ran out of space to write. And they hoisted it in their locker room with a lot of adult beverages.
After that long, tedious season, you deserve to celebrate if you finish at the top. Is one of the best feelings that you can have as a team, to know that you were consistent.
Del Piccolo! Odell smashed that right back up the middle, and Johnson puts it up in the Estopinal end.
And I think that is the key for regular season champions. Is consistency is the key, right? You need to perform week in, week out, be able to pick up points even when you play badly, to be the #1 team after the course of 9 months.
Well, if you're Odell, you're just happy you didn't get 5-hold. Wi-Fi corner for Louisville City. Hangs up there toward Harris. Perez brought it down. Swings it back out. Tosh. Crashing in Winder. That may be the young player of the year in the championship this season. A lot of people thought it would be a defender out in Orange County, Kobe Henry, but he was sold for a 7-figure sum. Perhaps it's Winder's award.
And I'd interested to get your take, Mike. You know, last year...
Oh, boy, here we go.
Orange County were the champions last year, right?
Sure.
For the playoffs.
For the last 10 games, they're the best team in the league.
But in the regular season, where did they finish?
I mean, they barely scraped in, I know that.
And that's what I'm talking about, is consistency, right?
Ball across, seeking, well, ultimately Fondes got it.
You want to be judged as a coach, as a player, as your performance over the course of the long 9-month season, to finish #1, and then to go on and see if you can continue that for the next 3 or 4 games and double yourselves up in the playoffs. There cannot be anything more disheartening as when you are the #1 regular season champions, and then the team that maybe finished 7th is able to go and lift the trophy, and you're almost forgotten about.
Well,
that's why I want Louisville to go on and be champions again, and really double up on the performances that they've had week in, week out this season.
Ball floated, header, second time away, and now Harris, the denial, and the whistle's going to come. There's going to be a yellow. That's a high boot in a dangerous spot. Del Piccolo contacted, and Tulu trying to say, look, I'm just trying to put it on frame. He's going to get a yellow card. It's unintentional in reality, but dangerous nevertheless. And yeah, they've made peace on this, as they should.
And I'm glad that the referee's done very good here in the way he's managed the situation, because so often we see kind of a knee-jerk reaction, and referee would give him a red card in that situation because his foot is high and it's dangerous. But he's making a genuine attempt here to go for the ball. He's not trying to hurt anybody. It's just a play where the ball's banging around and he has the opportunity to score on goal. Of course, it's dangerous, but the referee's managed the circumstances in the situation well, realizing that he had no malice intent. It's been a fairly balanced game between both teams. Both players are okay, and it's rightfully a yellow card.
And as a player, you're 6 inches away from making contact with the ball.
And look, you know, that you like to see that. He apologizes. He knows that there was madness in it. They both accept it, and now they're getting on with the game and competing again. You know, I think that's a great game management there for the referee. Sometimes we don't give them as much credit as they deserve in some situations, but I think on this occasion, it's a great job.
This is the second time you've given credit to the referee today. I never thought I'd see the day. Harris. Pereira was grinding forward with him. Now he's broken apart from him. Harris spins inward, and Tulu sends it away, but only to Dia. Across Mushagalusa. That's denied. And Apollon pushes ahead. Now Martinez sends it out. You know who hasn't gotten the ball in the pocket that Hartford hoped he would? I don't think Danny Barrera's had an attacking touch yet.
So it's been quiet for him so far in this game, but he's one of those guys. He's one of those number 10s that when they're quiet is when you need to be most aware of them. Because then he picks up the ball and he has the ability to change the game in a heartbeat. So this is when you have to be most wary of him, is that when he's quiet, that's when he can be the most dangerous, because he can change the game at the flick of a switch.
Well, there's Mushagalusa, can do the same. Back heel to Perez. Mushagalusa scoops it up again. Callum Radisov, by the way, is the referee. Credit where due. There's still 50 minutes for you to change your opinion, but for now, we're all good. Of course, had the troublesome penalty shout where he probably had one of the worst views of that of anybody in the building.
Look, at some of these battles are so exciting. You just saw Tosh here gets the better of Martinez in the weights battle, sends him to LA Fitness. Then the ball comes back to Martinez, and he doesn't get in a physical battle. Instead, he moves the ball quickly and then moves into space and draws the free kick from Tosh. And this is the battle between strength and creativity. Here you see Tosh, 1-0 Tosh. Then the ball stays in play, comes back to Martinez this time. Oh, round the corner, 1-1, draws the free kick.
Did you say send him to LA Fitness? That's really good. That's a great line. I know I'm supposed to take that, you know, as is, but well, Dia is about to get sent into the referee's book. Yeah. That's, doesn't feel tactical to him, but certainly had its benefit in stopping play.
Dia definitely not in agreement with the referee's decision here. Cheeky nutmeg sets him away, but he does pull his shirt as the attacker's getting away from him in that situation. I think it's Boudadi charging down the wing. Referee rightfully distributes a yellow card.
World of Beer yellow card. An accumulation suspension wouldn't keep you out of the postseason. Those days are done for this year. But if you get a red card, you are out for the first game, if not longer, if need be. So Dia's going to be playing on a card here, and he'll try and make sure he doesn't put any question into.
And given that being said, you know, does Danny Cruz leave him on the pitch for the duration of the game, or does he say, hey, let's not take the risk? We need you for these upcoming games. You know, it's not worth it. Let's get 45 minutes into your legs, keep your lungs open, keep the momentum going. Let's not take any unnecessary risks that we don't need to. But also, it's for him to take the responsibility on the pitch now, right? He make sure you're not going into tackles. Don't be mouthing off to referee. Don't be giving away any trivial fouls. Like, don't go into the book for dissent. Like, be smart in how you play the game now, understanding that what's at stake. But sometimes the emotions of the game, doesn't matter what the occasion is as a player, you don't necessarily think with that amount of depth during the course of the game. So maybe it is a case where Danny Cruz needs to take him out just to protect him for those upcoming games.
That's siphoned off. Of note for Louisville, their opponent is to be determined, but they'll get a bye on the 22nd, open the postseason on the 29th in the conference semifinal, and they'll face the lowest remaining team in the standings. So either Birmingham, Pittsburgh, Miami, or Detroit would come to Louisville. Mushagalusa, who's transferred to the right, off the right foot of Serrano. Got that all wrong.
Good play there from Mushagalusa and a good run for Serrano. Just unable to connect with the ball, but Apollon giving away the ball there unnecessary. A lot of dribbling, holding on to possession in the center of the park there, doing way too much. Concedes possession and puts his team under a lot of pressure. Louisville City just unable to make it count.
Apollon debuted for the Haitian national team last year. And if you don't follow CONCACAF football,
you should.
That's a good point. You should. But if you don't, Haiti over the last 2-3 years, they've got a team in Champions League this year. Violette got into Champions League.
Yeah, they have a lot of players actually that play in the second division in France.
Yeah.
So they have a very, very, very strong team. And that's why I say if you don't follow them, you should, because it's a lot of exciting players, a lot of exciting talent, and a lot of exciting competition.
There are a few countries that have started to sort of dip into that well a little bit. This goes through, flicked, Torko, and over the top by Mushagalusa. Odell's livid.
And we spoke briefly about defensive mistakes for Hartford that have cost them this season, and this is almost another one. Takes his eyes off the ball here. It's not the best delivery. It's just a kind of a long, hopeful ball towards in the direction of Mushagalusa. And Tuli takes his eyes off the ball. The most wild touch I've seen maybe this season. It bounces off his back and into the path of Mushagalusa. He tries to put it over the keeper first time. Unfortunately, just hit it a little bit too hard. But, oh, there's Martinez again lighting up defenders with that cute first touching ability that he has. Just unable to create anything more going forward. But it's been a fairly exciting and entertaining first half for a number of reasons. Definitely not the kind of dead end of season game that we thought we may have been seeing tonight.
You know, deep down, I think both coaches really felt like this was going to be a pretty entertaining match.
Yeah, and I think it'll only get better in the second half. You know, both of these teams want to finish on a win, undoubtedly. So I think we'll see more attacking. I think the game is going to open up a little bit more. I think we'll see more expression and individuality from the players as the game continues. So I'm looking forward to the second half.
Joel Johnson wins the corner. If you're unfamiliar with his story, he came up through Valencia B, earned a contract at Real Madrid with their C team. He moved on to Charlotte, played there 6 years. Really wasn't a goal scorer at all, and yet the last 2 years he's been piling them on. Only one game in La Liga, but that's one more than everyone else who's listening to this broadcast. He's had a very productive career in the American 3rd and 2nd division. Now in Hartford. Johnson.
And I think that's indicative of his character, right? I think I was listening to a podcast with Thierry Henry, and somebody said to him, if you didn't make it as a professional footballer, what would you have been? He said an amateur footballer, because that's what he loved to do. And this is, I think, is familiar with the story of Johnson. You know, he went from La Liga to the second divisions in the US because he loves to play the sport, and wherever he was going to play and play minutes and be a key contributor, that's what he wanted to do. That was his life goal and his life fulfillment, and that's what he is. And I think that's just a story that resonates with so many players. You know, wherever you're going to play and enjoy and fulfill your passion, your sport, your endeavor, you go where it takes you. The journey is different for everybody, right?
Some didn't even start. Purpa's a little frustrated. He's picked up a yellow card presented by World of Beer. He gets, well, he's run into Mushagalusa. Mushagalusa has sprung a leak here. If you're a bit squeamish, perhaps best to turn away. They just pulled the cotton away. Ariel Martinez has gone to check on him.
And it's been a competitive game, but it's been played in good spirits, right? You saw earlier Tosh and
was it Ariel? Those two got tied up once, him and Jadama once.
And you can see in the moment the players are going full throttle, but after they're getting up and checking each other okay, and then getting back into competition. You know, that's the kind of spirit that you want to see in the contest.
Pittsburgh and Oakland is probably the most significant game ongoing right now as it pertains to both conferences. Pittsburgh and Oakland being played on the banks of the Monongahela. Here's a quick look at what's going on over on ESPN+. Ball driven across by Mert. Cicerone has scored 2 on the day. Pittsburgh has gone 2-1 up on Oakland, who desperately needed a result in that game to secure their place in the postseason. And all of a sudden, there is a universe in which Las Vegas can see their way in. El Paso is on the outside looking in. It appears that their season is over. RGV is just hanging around. Del Piccolo! Oh, what a rip! He could have taken the net off with that. Louisville leads on the stroke of halftime. Whoa!
Talk about release of frustration. I don't know what was inside of Del Piccolo's body, but he let everything go into that volley. The build-up play here, cross into the box, header away, takes one bounce off the head of Deere, and then bang into the back. Del Piccolo leaves nothing in reserve when he connects with this volley. Goalkeeper has absolutely no chance, smashes it into the back of the net. I think Otto is waving to his fans in the crowd because he was getting nowhere near the ball with that effort. Louisville City into the lead, 1-0.
Del Piccolo gets goal number 4 of the year. What an unbelievable smash that was.
And no better time than to score it just before halftime. Louisville City now go in with a much calmer demeanor, being in control of the game. 1-0 in the lead. Makes the second half even more exciting because you know Hartford are going to come out guns blazing, trying to get back into this game. But what a goal from Del Piccolo to take the lead for his team. It's not over
Johnson!
yet.
Wide. And there's the perhaps lack of concentration in the moment. The goal by Del Piccolo, presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education, the Kentucky Lottery. This, on the other hand, different deal.
Yeah, they probably just guilty of switching off here, still celebrating the goal that they scored, and defensively caught out. And Johnson really probably should have done better with that effort. If it's on frame, gets his team the equalizer just before halftime. I think Fondes will be happy to see that one just creep wide of the upright.
Del Piccolo's goal is 4th of the year in the 45th minute.
He looks so angry. Look, if you saw like his demeanor, he's so angry after he hit that volley. Like every bit of aggression in his body, he just thrust it into that ball. Gave Odo no chance in the back of the net of keeping that one out.
Stoppage time is presented by Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. We approach the end of the 2 minutes. There is the 2 minutes.
I don't think that's a goal that we'll get tired of watching over and over again. I think it's definitely contender for goal of the week, for sure. But he didn't even smile. He was just angry. It's like frustration that he just wanted to take it on the ball. Maybe he didn't feel that the first half had gone the way he wanted to go, and he got the opportunity. He made no mistake converting it.
Well, now Louisville can break a smile or two. They finally do grab the lead shortly before halftime. There was a little confusion, perhaps a little frustration, certainly a lot of cotton candy. Louisville City grabs the lead over Hartford as they try to make their approach over the 70-point mark for the first time in their history. Halftime score brought to you by ServPro. Halftime is coming up.
We're heading into all-wheel drive season.
And this RAV4 is one of 15 different all-wheel drive vehicles from Toyota.
RAV4 can handle the rain, the snow, the off-road, whatever comes your way.
Which explains why it's the best-selling SUV in America.
You got all kinds of room back here.
And RAV4 all-wheel drive can even come with an electrified hybrid powertrain.
Now, during Toyota's fall savings season, you can save thousands in fuel costs on an electrified RAV4 hybrid.
Plus, get 2 years no-cost maintenance.
Toyota. Let's go places.
We've got exciting news.
Commonwealth Credit Union has been ranked best in-state credit union by Forbes magazine.
For the 4th time. It's true.
In fact, we're #1 on the list this year
So, if you've never tried Commonwealth Credit Union before,
come see what you've been missing, because here,
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 Here, we see you differently.
So Callie is the only search and rescue dog in the entire U.S. military.
The Kentucky National Guard is taking the lead in search and rescue.
Really what that means is that she's able to fly in helicopters with us, skydive. So that's kind of what makes Callie unique, is the way that she's able to get to a place to help search for a missing person.
Callie and her squad quickly found more than a dozen people in eastern Kentucky floods.
And she can really reduce the amount of time that it takes for us to find that person.
This is Aaron. Aaron is responsible for prepping the stadium for Lou City game day. His team puts in a lot of work, transforming this into this. But weather can get in the way. So to ensure the crowd will be safe, they call Mark at WDRB for the official green light to play. Making the right call and keeping everyone safe. WDRB Weather, the source.
WDRB and WBKI are the broadcast home for Lou City FC Live. Tonight's game was presented by Commonwealth Credit Union. We see you differently.
With the Kroger Plus card, it's easy to get lower than low prices for the win. You also earn fuel points on every purchase to save big at the pump. The Kroger Plus card, all you do is win big, big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. With the Kroger app, no matter where you order free pickup, you get the same great deals as you get in our stores. So start your cart today. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
We welcome you back to the USL Championship halftime here between Hartford and Louisville City. Last week, Lou City took on Detroit for the third time this year, and it did not disappoint. For Louisville City, more records set and the #1 seed attained. A look at last week's highlights.
It's a beautiful night, okay? Make sure tonight you start the game with the right intensity, the right mentality. Yeah, make sure tonight you have each other's back. Make sure tonight you stick together and bring joy to this stadium. Yeah, gentlemen, we walk out of here 3 points, nothing less. Come on, let's go!
Swings that through, header down off the other side of the bar. Trying to get by Dia, cuts it inside. Matthews this time. Rebounds off of Morton. Open, oh! He's done it against his former team. He's shocked Lynn Family Stadium. He's put Detroit ahead. Deflection right back to Harris! Wilson Harris! Lou City level! All across Winder! Winder scores! They've turned the whole thing around!
I'm on that real thing. I'm on that real thing.
Goes topics. I mean, yeah, let's talk about today where I'm gonna go topics.
Roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to Sirius XM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on Sirius XM.
What? This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it. What?
We're heading into all-wheel drive season.
And this RAV4 is one of 15 different all-wheel drive vehicles from Toyota.
RAV4 can handle the rain, the snow, the off-road, whatever comes your way.
Which explains why it's the best-selling SUV in America.
You got all kinds of room back here.
And RAV4 all-wheel drive can even come with an electrified hybrid powertrain.
Now, during Toyota's fall savings season, you can save thousands in fuel costs on an electrified RAV4 hybrid.
Plus, get 2 years no-cost maintenance.
Toyota. Let's go places.
Unbelievable! What a goal! What a moment! The ultimate upset when it mattered the most. Welcome back to halftime. The score is brought to you by ServPro, the official cleanup and restoration partner of Louisville City FC. 1-0 Louisville City over Hartford Athletic. At halftime, Mike and Chris, let's take a look at the USL playoffs presented by Hisense. Update coming into the weekend. San Antonio, they made their own trophy to prove it. #1 overall seed, have a chance to lock up the wins and the points record here tonight. Meanwhile, in the East, Birmingham clinches 4th. They get a home game. They don't know who they're playing yet. And with Pittsburgh and Oakland going down to the wire, they aren't going to know for another 45 minutes or so.
Yeah, and I'll say it again, Mike. I hope that San Antonio or Louisville City go on to win the playoffs, because these two teams have been phenomenal for the 9-month season to finish #1. And I want one of these teams to go on and solidify their position as one of the best teams in the USL Championship this season.
All right, let's get you caught up on the scoreboard. The Rowdies knock off El Paso. That's going to leave them below the line on Wednesday night. Birmingham sealing the #4 seed and then vacant over the weekend. Nothing to do but watch the other results, including Miami knocking off Detroit, inching above Detroit City on the last day. Loudoun beats Charleston. They got rid of Connor Casey this week. Lee Cohen is already making moves. Pittsburgh 2-1 up on Oakland. And the Rowdies knock off the, well, it's only halftime, but I mean, the Red Bulls already have the wooden spoon. What's left to attain? Here's what's coming up here tonight. There's some big games down the stretch.
Yeah, interesting. On the previous screen that we saw Oakland losing. Oakland obviously turned over Hartford. They were watching tonight 3-1 last week, and they wanted to continue that positive momentum that they have to solidify their place in the playoffs. It's going to be very interesting to see the standings at the end of tonight's games.
Yeah, Vegas, we can make this really simple. Win with an RGV loss to Monterey Bay, and they're in. How about that? Flags waving. Odell could only wave as Louisville's Paulo Del Piccolo through all the frustration. And a knock to the head. Delivers quite the knock to Hartford. 1-0 at halftime.
It all starts with a smile. To show you care, offer a sign of love, welcome someone home. Even when we don't see each other, or share a room, even without words, smiles bring us together. Let's keep yours healthy. Mortensen Family Dental. Schedule online at mortensondental.com.
It was awesome to see what it can really do.
That was the most intense experience I've ever had.
At a recent off-road event, real Toyota Tundra owners found out just how capable the new Tundra is.
I had no idea these could do what it did.
With 437 horsepower and available multi-terrain select and crawl control, Tundra can go anywhere and do anything. This truck was born for this.
I am probably a Tundra owner for life at this point. I'm very impressed.
The more you know, the more you'll drive Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome to U of L Health Heart Hospital, an exciting chapter in the Jewish hospital story. If these walls could talk, you would hear stories of over 40 medical firsts. As the area's only heart hospital, we focus on comprehensive heart care, where academic research pioneers innovative treatments, and a world-class network of experts offers life-changing care. Here, your heart is in the right place.
When fire and water threaten your home, hand the cleanup over to the team that stays with you every step of the way in your journey back. 1-800-SERVPRO and servpro.com. Like it never even happened.
On Thanksgiving Eve in 1969, 9-year-old Bobby Ellis died of malnutrition in his Louisville home. The Dare to Care Food Bank was created with the primary focus to provide assistance for food insecure senior citizens, primarily in the 13-county Kentuckiana area. And this week, Louisville City is a team boxing goods for Dare to Care Food Bank. You can, of course, take part, Dare to Care FB on Twitter. You can head to their website and donate now. All right, Mike and Chris, first half highlights. A lot of physicality and a decent amount of tricky play on the ball as well. Here's Mushagalusa in the 20th minute, spearheading the Louisville attack.
Mushagalusa sides it off to Serrano, and Dia on his less comfortable foot, his right foot, tries to bend this into the far corner, just unable to get enough dip on it to see it land under the crossbar, but good effort there from Dia early in the first half.
And Louisville would continue to create. He'd love to not have his name attached to it, but it bounced off the name on his jersey. Tulu, wrong place, wrong time.
Tulu here with the unorthodox layoff for Mushagalusa, but Mushagalusa just unable to get this one under the crossbar. Good opportunity. Tulu needs to do a little bit better with his defending in that situation.
And Louisville would find their answer. Ball bounces off at Tulu, not enough to get it away from Dia, and Del Piccolo does the rest.
I don't think Del Piccolo will connect with a volley that clean again in his lap. An absolute thunderball into the back of the net. Gave Odell no chance whatsoever. Gave his team the lead just before halftime.
And the halftime stats presented by River City Flooring. And Louisville's had the majority of the play, but Hartford's played a role.
Yeah, as you can see, Louisville leading with the shots on target. Possession has been fairly even, but we expect to see some tactical adjustments from Tab Ramos and see an uptick in possession and chances created for Hartford in this second half. Last week, they had a fairly slow first half, and they were phenomenal in the second half in terms of the performance, maybe not the result. We expect a similar result tonight.
Couple of changes out of halftime here for Hartford. You looked at me as soon as halftime arrived and said there are going to be some serious adjustments, that they're going to come out on fire in this second half. Andre Lewis has come in. Danny Barrera is done for the season. Just wasn't quite able to get involved in this game the way he would have liked.
Yeah, you highlighted, Mike, that we hadn't seen him get on the ball as much as we had in previous games in the early phases of this game. And coach has probably seen enough of what he needs to see for the following year and the direction that he's going, is bringing on some other legs, some fresh legs to kind of re-energize themselves and see if they can get themselves back into this game and finish with a positive result. Lewis, of course, has been one of the players who's featured the most for Tab Ramos since he's taken over in this team, and he's been exciting, brings lots of energy and individual ability to create opportunities for himself, but also for his teammates. So interested to see the impact he's going to have on the game in this second half. The final 45 minutes of the season for Hartford Athletic.
And to your point, you say you've seen enough of him. Well, he's now had 6 games to look at him, so maybe it's a chance to see another player here down the stretch rather than necessarily a negative commentary for sure toward Barrera. Was really complimentary of him in the lead up to this, just trying to find a way to unlock him.
Yeah, I think everybody who we've spoken to involved with Hartford over the course of the years always had positive things to say about Danny Barrera in terms of his individuality, but his leadership. He's the captain for this team. He's the face of this team, and he's definitely one of the key players for this team. So I'm for sure Tab Ramos has him down in his plans as one of the pillars of his team going forward.
Serrano steps over. How about Del Piccolo has a goal already? Was looking to seal an assist for himself. Comes down to Prince Sadie. And Joel Johnson launches away. Robin Lappert came in as well, the 24-year-old Frenchman. You know, I always have to double check. John Ponziani, one of the best PR guys in the league, sent me a text a little while back. I had to confirm the pronunciation of Lappert. That's what we're going. French, you would think perhaps there was a little more nuance to the name. Alas, not so fast for the former UConn Husky, who impressed so much under Ray Reid.
And you had your crystal ball out in that first half, because of course we spoke about Dia getting a yellow card and how if he was to get a red card, it would actually have detrimental effects going into the playoffs. And of course, Danny Cruz has chosen to take him out at halftime and protect him from finding himself in that situation and giving him a rest. So Dia, despite having a fairly solid first half, came out at halftime probably to ensure that he doesn't go into the book for a second time and is in danger of missing out on the playoffs.
Elijah Winder came on for him. Subs are brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond. Musha Galusa trying to downshift through a lot of traffic. Coming back, Juan Carlos Obregon. But it's Tosh leading for Del Piccolo, and Lewis steps in front. Didn't hear Obregon's name enough, didn't hear Barrera's name enough, and Sadie and Martinez maybe in the wrong areas of the field to be most impactful in that first half when they did get on the ball.
Yeah, despite the possession being fairly balanced, it wasn't really in any dangerous areas for Hartford that created any kind of dangerous goal-scoring opportunities or posed a lot of threat to the Louisville City back line. On the other hand, you know, there was a number of opportunities for Louisville City. Second half.
Harris picked back up and swerved across the Musha Galusa this time. How about a third bite of the apple? Serrano runs that down at the end line. That's touched out. That's a corner.
Interesting to see who takes this corner kick. Set piece is obviously so key to success in games, and this is going to be the difference when we're coming towards the playoff phases. Set pieces, dead ball situations. These are the moments in games that can be the difference between winning and losing. So, you know, I'm interested to see how they continue with these as the game progresses.
Vi-Fi corner, Del Piccolo toward Winder.
Just doesn't get the ball high enough into an area that gives his teammates an opportunity to attack that ball. But they get the opportunity to keep the pressure sustained in the final third with this throw on deep in Hartford's half.
That's Perez. Harris tried to twist off it. Perpa couldn't get a touch. Del Piccolo. And Martinez did enough to unlock Perpa. Leads it ahead. You'll see Tosh dive in there. 2023 season tickets are on sale now for Racing Louisville FC, the area's only professional women's soccer team. Visit racingloufc.com/tickets for more information. And good luck to the teams that will begin the 2022 NWSL playoffs tomorrow night on Paramount Plus and CBS Sports Network. The Houston Dash host their first ever home playoff game against Kansas City. San Diego will host Chicago. The latter of which tomorrow night on national TV. Whoa, Sharpie piloting up the line and inward. Sharpie.
Poor giveaway there from Lewis. He does well to get back and retrieve the ball. Sharpie drive forward there. You could almost see where his eyes were looking. He wanted to try and drill that ball or curl it into the bottom right-hand corner, but defense did well to block the attempt.
Del Piccolo gets one, and all of a sudden.
But for Hartford, they need to move the ball quicker. As you can see, moving just a little bit too slow, and that's why they're not being able to penetrate this Louisville midfield line or defensive line, because the possession's not really in any areas that are posing any threat.
Hey, they'll get you the ball. Tell them, they'll get it to you.
Now, it's worth noting for Louisville, much has been made of the idea that they play just one game between October the 5th and October the 27th. That was the way it lines up with the half a bye week leading into this match against Hartford, and then the bye that was earned by being the #1 seed in the East. We can say that Louisville City has arranged a friendly that'll be played at Lynn Family Stadium behind closed doors. Ball floated forward, tipped away. Winder puts a charge into it, and that deflected for a corner.
And that wasn't that far away at all. And this is when you can see a team that is full of confidence. The ball's bouncing around on the edge of the box, 20, 25 yards away, and he doesn't hesitate to pull the trigger. And it's not a bad effort at all. Here you see, just reacts. Bit of outside dip on the ball. Didn't look like O'Toole was too worried whatsoever, but ambitious effort, full of confidence.
We'll get back to the friendly in a moment. Bit of work to be done here. Del Piccolo, the Wi-Fi corner, skips all the way through. Winder was ready to put just a little tickle to the ball.
Better delivery that second time from Del Piccolo. You can see the ball right into the danger area, bounces inside in the box, just screaming for somebody to tap it into the back of the net, but nobody was there. But see Hartford again gaining possession of the ball there and wasted. Doesn't find a teammate, just complete waste of possession. They need to be more responsible in possession of the ball, a little bit more patient in their build-up play.
Gibson was there to pick it up, and it'll come all the way back. An old friend of sorts, St. Louis City FC2 is going to be coming to Louisville, led by John Hackworth, the MLS Next Pro runners-up. They fell to Columbus on the road in the final. Of course, Louisville played STL FC2 in the Open Cup. For Danny Cruz, chance to try and maintain momentum, get a little more of a game-like atmosphere, go through the playoff preparation that you might have within the venue, and then actually go kick a ball around for a little bit of time.
Yeah, and I think that's the good and the bad, right? You're playing against opponents who aren't going to come in and take it easy against you. They're going to come in full throttle because they want to win, they want to beat you, they want to prove that they're better players and a better team, and that's the kind of competition that you need. On the other hand, it does pose an opportunity for the risk of injuries going towards a playoff game, but you know, you need to have the players playing. They need to be continuing with momentum, confidence. They need to keep their match fitness as high and relevant as possible. And I think organising that scrimmage against St. Louis is the right decision. Managing it and allowing themselves to control the narrative, playing it in the stadium and making the game as realistic as to what they're going to face the following weekend is they're trying to control things the best that they can without disrupting the preparation and routine of the players. And I think that's the only thing they can do in this situation to make sure that bye week ends up being a positive rather than being something that goes on to hamper them.
Ball inward from Sadie. That's going to bounce over to Budotti, who was offside on the touch forward from Lewis, and Obregon taps it into the net. It was never going to count. You know, you and I were chatting with Danny Cruz about it. He goes, look, you're able to control the minutes. You're able to somewhat control the nature of the game within reason, recognizing that there is a bit of competition to it. He said, Hack and I always want to beat one another when we go up against each other. That's the nature of their friendship. But nevertheless, I'm going to go out on a limb and say there's going to be no two-footed tackles in that game. As far as a competitive game goes, that's one that's intended not to injure.
And of course, they're fortunate that they're able to get that scrimmage against a good team, because an inter-squad scrimmage just doesn't provide the same stimulus or motivation it does when you're playing against an opponent, especially a very good opponent. So the fact that they've been able to arrange that and almost prepare that a few weeks in advance and be ready for it is a huge advantage to their preparation, because just waiting in limbo and watching the other teams play for a weekend, it takes away your momentum, especially when you've done so well over the course of the season. You just want the games to keep rolling. That waiting period, or that period where you're not playing games and kind of lose focus and concentration, it can be detrimental. And that's why sometimes we don't see the regular season champions go on to win the playoffs, because that pause in momentum can sometimes have a harmful effect and knock on. But I'm sure preparation is the key, and keeping the preparation as realistic as playing in the final game to make the playoffs is exactly what they're trying to recreate.
Chidama pushed it off Harris, who kept it in. Del Piccolo, right place, right time, wrong placement. Well, Del Piccolo Already a goal tonight. Let's take a look at tonight's nugget of the match. It's presented by Chick-fil-A. Holding midfield early in his time in Louisville. Certainly more of an attacking player over the past couple of seasons. 9 goals last year. And here tonight he bagged his 4th this season.
Great opportunity to get his 2nd goal of the night here. In the right place at the right time. Brilliant first touch to lay himself off, but opted for a little bit too much power and was leaning back. A little bit more composure and finesse in that situation, and just curling it into the corner would have put his team in the driving seat for the rest of the night and put him in the 2nd goal for him tonight. Just unable to get that shot on target.
Don't worry about it.
Tosh. Louisville was planning some subs around the 60th minute mark. Could shift their tactical setup into a more familiar 4-back. Something to keep an eye on here over the final few minutes, although perhaps to some extent they've already made that adjustment, moving Sharpie out due to Diaz's yellow card. And perhaps that changes some of the math, but not the concept. Ball ahead for Winder. Odell. And this game of hacky sack has an uneasy conclusion for Hartford.
Poor defending there from Hartford. It starts with a clearance from the goalkeeper. The defenders do know better when they get possession of the ball. And
Perez has to spin around. Oohs and ahs from the crowd.
Sometimes as a defender, you even need to have the composure and the ability to get the ball down and play and pass it. Or on the other hand, you need to be able to clear it. It has to be one or the other. In that situation, Hartford were unable to do either and just turn possession back over to Louisville City in a dangerous area where they could have been punished. And things just are not connecting well for Hartford tonight. You see Martinez there in good possession of the ball, unable to find his teammate out on the left-hand side and turning over possession and really allowing Louisville to dictate the tempo and the rhythm of the game when they get possession.
Louisville just handed a card to the official. It appears the mechanism is in motion. Make their first subs in a window here in the second half after the halftime change. Do have a new goalkeeper on the bench for what it's worth. St. Xavier High School student. He's been part of the academy setup for a while, Alex Cron. I don't think the goal is not to get him in the game necessarily, but a nice experience nevertheless.
Your crystal ball's been out again, Mike. It looks like Lancaster's beginning to warm up to come in for Harris. Do you know the lottery numbers by any chance? Because you seem to be able to predict everything well in this game so far.
I think I was tipped off to the first. If I get tipped off on the lottery numbers, I think that's federal prison. Anywho, they're 9-14. Whoa, Winder. Winder's the one whistled for the foul. Otherwise, it was off to the races with 4 purple shirts against a pair of Hartford defenders. Here come the changes here for Louisville City. They're brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond. It is a big round of applause for Wilson Harris. 15 goals this year, a career high. 4 goals in the preceding 4 games coming into the finale. He checks out, and Lancaster spent much of this year laid up due to injury. Steps in to get about half an hour, his most extensive game time since May.
And 22 years old, Harris, 15 goals. You know, you're the go-to guy for this Louisville team. This is the player that the team is going to carry the burden of scoring goals, and the team's got top goal scorer. That's a huge burden to carry. Not necessarily a huge burden, I say, but a huge responsibility to carry as a 22-year-old player. But he stepped up phenomenally. And, of course, one of the biggest reasons they're the regular season champions is because of his output in front of goal and his ability to finish and create chances and be in the right place at the right time. So I can only see things continue to get bigger and better for him as he progresses as a player.
Well, Gibson remains. It's Serrano who came off. So as with most times I've come close in the lottery, I was 1 number off. Hartford's going to make a change. Good to see Connor McGlynn get in here late. Harry Watling, who spent so much time in the academy setups over in England, said, been around world-class players, and McGlynn's got a world-class peg. Obregon comes off. He never quite found the flow of this game. And Prince AD comes off as well. And there's Rashawn Dolly entering the game, the Bloomfield, Connecticut native.
Yeah, Sadie, another player who had a very quiet night tonight. You know, somebody who's normally on the ball, creating, taking players on, innovative in his ability in his 1v1 situations. Didn't really show any of that tonight.
That went haywire for Mushagalusa. Tell you that Joella's Hot Chicken is serving up just the right amount of spice with their Lou City Slider Pack. $5 from every pack sold will be donated toward the Lou City and Racing Louisville Youth Academy. 7 heat levels to choose from. Joella's Hot Chicken isn't just about heat, it's about flavor. You're laughing, man. You and I have a date coming up. I'll show you this place.
I'm a vegan.
Then you can eat the pickles. Congrats.
Del Piccolo bringing the heat tonight with that volley just before halftime. Flaming.
Well, that's why we don't call him Del Piccolo. All right. Lewis. How about Rashawn Dolly cut back? Offside. Ran amok with the line.
Interesting to see how this game changes now with the substitutions. Both teams make a number of substitutions and giving some players with some fresh legs to come on and finish off the season strong. Of course, that sometimes inhibits the chemistry and the cohesiveness of the team for both teams, but definitely gives us an opportunity to see some players, especially for Louisville City, trying to stake a place that they want to be in that starting lineup for the playoff positions. And maybe some opportunities for some Hartford players still competing to show the head coach, Tab Ramos, that they want to be here next season. So interesting to see how these substitutions impact the game and what they bring going forward. Del Piccolo again displaying that lovely volley technique. Unable to find a teammate on this occasion, but you have to respect the ability to have that technique in the locker to hit those kinds of passes.
I thought he was going for goal. By the way, you mentioned the opportunities. A player like Cameron Lancaster, right? What's there to prove? 73 goals, a 25-goal season with Louisville that still is tied for the all-time single-season record in the league. And yet with all the injuries, these 30 minutes are just as much about sort of finding your rhythm within a group that had to move on without you for an extended period of time, is physically being fit enough to go that distance.
And to get match minutes, you know, you can't replicate match minutes in training, and it's about form also, right? You can have those statistics and reputation, but if that's not a reflection of who you are right now, then they're just stats. Harris has been on incredible form, and that's his competitor. You know, these two, they're on the same team, but they're competing for the same position, and no doubt both of them want to be number one. So it's an opportunity for him to get out on the field, to try and get himself on the score sheet, because goal scorers need to score goals to feel that goal scoring feeling, that confidence, that momentum. So it's a great opportunity just for him to go out there, get moving again, try to find himself in positions where he can be a threat in the attacking third, and to regain some of the confidence and form that we know that he's had for a number of years.
Navigates back, comes outside, and Winder. Winder again. Mushagalusa trots under it. Chitama had it covered. Bounced down by Winder onto Masoso. Overlapping run, ripped across, seeking Lancaster. And the header snapped back by Johnson. Apollon struggled to deal with that. McGlynn got an important touch. Got Lappert back there. Now over the top, Martinez. Martinez angles away. It's good defending by Winder to go stride for stride. They're about 21 years apart.
Yeah, Martinez does well to get hold of this ball. It's kind of a hopeful ball played forward, and he does well to get it down, drive forward, get the shot off, but he just didn't connect with the ball as sweet as he would have liked, and it was a fairly straightforward save there for Foundas.
I did my math wrong. They're about 19 years apart. Still. And both players, regardless of age, got the wrong end of that. They're both down. In the foreground, Martinez. In the background, Winder.
Of course, it is a little bit more concerning for Louisville City than it is for Hartford. Martinez, obviously, this is the last 30 minutes of the season. He won't be required to get back on the field again until pre-season in January, February. But for Winder, the playoffs are coming up. So this injury is a little bit more concerning for Louisville City than it will be for Hartford.
Another look at the race for that ball. Tough to tell what damage necessarily was done in that instance.
And it's always a little bit more concerning when you see an injury that's not given by contact. You know, if it's somebody kicked you and you got a bruise or a little bit swelling because of contact, then you kind of have a better understanding of recovery. But when it's a non-contact injury, you know, it could be a pulled muscle or ligament. Hopefully it's neither or, and he's just a little bit sore or cramp or something. He's able to get back out there, but it's definitely something they're going to want to err on the side of caution, get the medical team onto him, fix him up, ready, prepared for the playoffs.
Well, Martinez is a little bit hobbled, and with a fresh drink of water, he was smiling, sort of nodding a moment ago. Hopefully for Josh Winder, this is a short-lived respite. Perhaps they adjust now. Perhaps logically, Carlos Mogul Jr. could come on, and based on the subs they've already made, got 2 left. That could be like for Gibson. Holding midfield role. Perhaps you sort of wheel those subs through.
Both players re-entering the game, but starting to see more substitutions warming up, so I wouldn't be surprised to see either of them coming off shortly.
70th minute here in Louisville. Paulo Del Piccolo rifled a half volley in the 45th minute to give Louisville the lead. And Hartford trying to avoid what would be just their 3rd loss in the final 9 games of the year. Harry Watling dismissed mid-season after a failed 2-year stint. Ball through, onside, Mushikalusa! Odell up to the task. The loanee who came in from New England Revolution.
And we spoke to Tab Ramos about the defense this weekend. Jadama is absolutely sleeping when this ball is played in behind. The defense for Hartford needs a lot of work going forward. Too many individual errors, too much sleeping, too many mistakes. Really sets this team behind. I think we're going to see some huge change defensively in the offseason, but we spoke to Danny Cruz about the most pivotal player for his team this season, and Gibson coming out of the game was one of the names that he gave a lot of credit for the success that the team's had, and the player that they may miss the most had he not been out there.
He had dealt with some injuries. Omby currently resting an injury here, knowing that the #1 seed is already locked up. 5-5 corner. Tried to spin that around. Watch out in the bar. Masoso just turned a tap on back there.
Vicious effort from the edge of the box, but it was always rising. It was never dipping, never coming down under the crossbar, but hit with a lot of venom.
Want a shock top? Oh, Foundas. Well, that came out of nowhere. That would have been a real shock up top.
And I think we have to give Foundas credit. He's played almost like a centre-back tonight. The times he's had the ball at his feet, he's been so calm and collective, either playing out to his fullbacks or playing balls through the centre to the midfield. He's been huge in the way Louisville City have been able to be successfully built out from the back tonight. Trivial foul there from Sharp. He just grabs him at the waist and pulls him down when he knows the defender was going to get the better of him in that instance.
By the way, he played at Memphis when they first came into the league. They're playing Tulsa tonight. Philip Goodrum scored in the 9th minute, put Memphis ahead. A Memphis win, they lock up the 2 seed. Regardless of Tampa Bay's result, Tampa Bay currently leads 1-0 in their game against Red Bull 2. But if Memphis drops any points tonight, Tampa Bay would finish second. Could rear its head in the second round with home field advantage. All the while, the rest of the playoff field appears set. More on that in a moment. Hangs up in the air, smashed away. In the end, the tiebreakers were meaningless in the Eastern Conference. Birmingham finishes 4th. They will host Pittsburgh, which is the matchup that was negated due to a COVID outbreak among the Riverhounds last year. So Birmingham finally gets that home game. Miami would face the number 3 seed. Currently, that'd be Tampa Bay. Detroit would have to go to Memphis, and Louisville gets to watch. Sharpie's coming off here in the 74th minute. Oscar Jimenez comes on. This is a sub brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond. And you got to think, Sharpie gets a yellow and he's gone.
Exactly. Danny Cruz taking no chances with his players tonight. Dia got a yellow card, halftime out. Sharpie just got a yellow card, Oscar in, Sharpie out. He's making sure that he's not leaving any room for error or leaving the referee to decide who's going to be available for that playoff game.
Ball across and in! Martinez! Age is but a number. Hartford scores, and they're level on the road. Rejuvenated over the second half of the year, and he delivers again.
And if there was a trophy for comeback player of the year in USL Championship, I think Ariel Martinez would be there for it. Budadi does ever so well here. Good ball delivered into the box. And again, not everybody has the ability for this kind of finish. He's right-footed. This is the outside of his left foot that he guides his past the goalkeeper with. It's not a skill that everybody has the capability of doing. Ariel Martinez makes it look oh so easy to give his team a goal to get the equalizer. Give Hartford something positive to finish the season with. It's going to be interesting to see if they're able to kick on from here. Either finish the game with a point, which is a very good result, away against Louisville, or maybe go on and get the winner. Interesting to see the final 15 minutes of this game. That goal just made this game a little bit more tasty.
A little?
A lot.
Here we go. You saw Tab Ramos there. You know, he speaks with such clarity, such vision. You can tell what he's trying to do, and you can tell the intent with which he's doing it.
And in honesty, you know, we talk so much about the age of players and the average age of teams. In the last game of the season, you wouldn't envision the player who's out there the longest is going to be the 36-year-old, probably the oldest player on the field maybe. And he comes up in the 75th minute with the biggest goal for his team. You know, and this is where you respect Tab Ramos's man management and leadership. It's not about age, it's about your ability to go out there and impact the game and what you're capable of doing and contributing for the team. And I think Ariel Martinez has finished this season exceptionally strong. And he warrants his minutes played, and he warrants his position in the team right now. I think earlier in the season,
whoa, smashed right at Odell. Somehow Lancaster was able to lift that up and give Winder a chance.
Yeah, Winder trying to give a repeat of Del Piccolo's left foot volley, but it wasn't quite the same. Didn't quite have the venom or the direction that Del Piccolo's had at the end of the first half. But again, a good attempt, a good effort here. Edge of the box, just keeps his eye on the ball as it comes down, and probably should have done a little bit better. Didn't really strike that ball with any conviction.
Luca Purpo is down for a moment's time. He's picked himself back up off the ground. You know, you and I chatted a little bit about this with Tab. There are times you come into a bad situation and playoffs are out of reach, and that's really when he arrived in September. Ray Reid wanted to finish on a high note, but playoffs were a difficult ask, and that's the way it ended up being. He said maybe the biggest surprise to him was how quickly everybody bought in.
Yeah, and I think, again, I think that you can have all the coaching license and certificates as you want. At the end of the day, your job is to manage people. And you need to be able to balance the tactics, the systems, with your ability to connect and reach and get the best out of the players and get the players to work for you and work as a team and buy into what you're doing. And Tab Ramos has already, in a short period of time, displayed that he has the ability and the capability to do that. in the way this Hartford team is performing, in the resurgence we've seen in some of the performances of individual players, and the direction and the style of the play that the team has. I think there's a lot to be optimistic for in this Hartford Athletic team going forward for next season. I think they're in the right hands from a leadership standpoint, and I'm excited to see how they go forward.
Agreed. Winder reties his boots after Johnson, and it appeared Mogul got tied up. Hey, fans, head to Twitter, vote on tonight's Lynn Family Sports Vision and Training Man of the Match. Poll open the next 10 minutes. Vote now, twitter.com/LouCityFC. Ball floated forward, too far forward. Perhaps the finale player was. By the way, hopefully we get a thrilling finish here down the stretch. A lot of credit, Ray Reed, sporting director, but also was the interim head coach there for a while. He's actually now commentating a bit on the college side with ESPN, so I guess I should call him a colleague. But his sort of openness in what's been a trying season, chatting with him over the course of that run. Certainly Tab Ramos and how he's sort of opened the notebook a little bit and given us a good look. The same way we can often say Haley at Louisville City runs such a tight ship. And Danny Cruz has been great over the course of the season. So much of this it's essentially decision day in the championship. And the end of a long 8-month-long slog. Some teams continue, some don't. But we get a chance to talk coaches week in and week out when it's convenient, when it's not, when they've won, when they've lost, and when the season is in full throat, when you realize it's over before it started. And yet we get that sort of picture view into the organization. And I guess it's worth saying as we close in on the last 11 or so minutes of our regular season, how much we do appreciate it. There's Lappert. And there's something on here for Hartford. Can you imagine? Tosh. Lewis got tossed. Johnson couldn't even latch on to Perez. Now it's Winder. There was quite the kick out behind the play there, and they're going to bring it all the way back to it. There's a yellow. McGlynn had to do something.
And you can see some tired legs there. It almost looked like Musha Galusa was pulling up there when he was chasing that ball as if he got injured, but I guess he just felt like the ball was a little bit too far ahead of him and was unable to get onto it, and it was kind of conserving his energy.
The referee has shown a World of Beer yellow card.
World of Beer yellow card.
But this is the delicacy that we talk about, Danny Cruz is having to do with. You know, how hard do you push your players in this game, the game that they're going to have during the bye week, and still keep them fresh and ready to go? There may be that player that you need that ends up getting injured, but that's part of the game, and you still need to have a squad and be able to adjust and still go out there and compete and win games.
Fifth, third, free kick. Mogul driven away. Mogul brought it down. Del Piccolo spins it wide. Has Winder out there. And driven across, brought down, Musha Galusa. That's a corner. 5-5 corner. Oscar Jimenez is going to race over there to take it. Oscar now 32 years old, his 19th appearance. He's largely come off the bench. In past years, he was in Sharpie for this team. This year, more of a role player. Jimenez punched away. As you get toward the end of the season, Jimenez sends it forward again. You never do know when you're saying goodbye to a player. And typically you see about a quarter of this Lou City roster turnover. Not saying it'll be Jimenez. He certainly has a role here this year.
I think all the players in this Louisville City team are thinking about finishing as champions.
Yeah.
Not just regular season, which they've already accomplished, but also the playoffs. And I think after they accomplish that goal, then they can transition to whatever's meant to be next. But I think most of their minds are focused on trying to ensure that they finish the best that they can.
Wi-Fi corner. Memphis has doubled their lead. Aaron Malloy from the penalty spot in the 37th minute. If they win, they lock the number 2 seed. Driven on the ground, seeking Lancaster. Winder trying to get under it. Del Piccolo, Lancaster.
Nice idea there, but just nobody at the back post making that run inside. Good composure from Del Piccolo. Ooh, that could have been nasty, that challenge.
Curled in behind. Now let's tell you, your dream home is waiting for you with Fisher Homes. Discover a variety of floor plan styles. Watch your design come to life. Visit FisherHomes.com. Get started today. Budati. By the way, the Golden Boot in the league is still very much unsettled. Orange County has gotten a goal from not Milan Olaski, but Brian Olaski, as they try and knock off San Antonio in the last game of the regular season. Could keep San Antonio from winning the wins and points record by their lonesome with the regular season title out west.
Yeah, Milan Olaski's goal-scoring form this season has been incredible. Be interesting to see if Orange County are going to be able to hold on to him. I can imagine that every team in the league may be fighting for his signature during the offseason.
The good news is, reported already about 2 weeks ago, they have a player option on him, but that doesn't mean that there aren't teams that are willing to pay top dollar for a guy who's bagged as many goals as he has.
And also his individual ambition, right? He probably, I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of the players that are being coveted by teams in other leagues. We've seen so many players go for the USL Championship to bigger leagues in Europe this season. I wouldn't be surprised to see if his name is amongst one of those to be next.
He scored more goals than Damas did last year, and he's only 23, to be fair.
And to do it in a team that's, you know, well outside of the playoffs, he doesn't necessarily have the best support cast around him. Many of his goals he picks up and creates of himself. It's not like he's just a striker and his goals are based upon the service that he's getting. He scores goals out of nothing. So I think that kind of ability that he carries is very unique, and it's going to be interesting to see where we see him next season. It's going to be interesting to see the changes that Orange County make, because having a key piece like that in your team is so critical to be success, but he needs more around him for them to be up where Louisville City are right now.
Yeah, here's a stat for you about Milan Olaski. He scored the first goal for Orange County 13 times this year. Orange County only has 7 wins to show for it.
And I don't even know the comeback goals that he scored, but he's been the key guy.
Yep.
Almost every time.
Well, he's got 22. Philip Goodrum's now on 21. He scored early for Memphis. As that Golden Boot race is going to go down literally to the final minutes. Of course, notably, Goodrum did not take the penalty, nor has he all year. Neither of them have scored a single penalty, and they've combined for 43 goals, which, I mean, that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Winder on the run, trying to find a late Louisville winner.
If you were to give both of those the penalties, I think you've got the runaway leaders right there.
You do. Perez. Odell's going to snap that down.
And it is interesting. It will be interesting to see the approach from Hartford in these remaining couple of minutes. As I said, a 1-1 tie away to Louisville City in Louisville is a great result. You know, this is a fortress. Very hard to come here and get a result. So to come here and finish the season on a point, you could almost take that as a win for Hartford, in all honesty. Especially given the way that the first half went, where they didn't really create anything meaningful and weren't essentially in the game as dominantly as Louisville City were. To walk away from here with a positive result is the kind of momentum and confidence that they want to continue to build for next season.
Lappard for McGlynn. Lewis. To your point, Hartford trying to pick up a little bit of the tempo here to avoid the Louisville pressure.
Yeah, the possession for Hartford has definitely been a little bit better since the changes. It's allowed them to get a little bit better of a foot grip in the game.
Really good from Oscar to hold on. Lappert. Whoa, all right. And he won a free kick.
I think the focus for Hartford at this phase is all about concentration. I think at the end of the first half, it was 0-0, and they're about to go down the tunnel at 0-0, and then the dying seconds of the game, they concede a goal just before halftime. Now it's 1-1, a couple of minutes left before the end of the game. You know, can they keep that focus and concentration without conceding a late goal?
Tonight's Lynn Family Sports Vision Training Man of the Match, as voted on by the supporters, Paolo Del Piccolo scored the go-ahead in the 45th. Ariel Martinez scored in the 74th to equalize. 1-1 with 100 seconds plus stoppage remaining in the regular year. Louisville knows they will not see Memphis or Tampa Bay until the conference final. Should there be no upsets in the first round, they would see Birmingham at home October 29th. But if there is an upset, they could see any of Pittsburgh, Miami, or Detroit.
I think Miami is a dangerous team. I think they picked up a lot of form and momentum at the right time. I think they started the season slow. They may be missing a lot of players. But as of recent, they've really been able to pull together a string of results. Even when they may not have played their best soccer, they still found a way to win games. So I think that Miami are sleeping underdog giants can come from behind and really upset some teams in this playoffs.
Yeah, don't look now. They sort of had that meandering start to the year, plus 15 goal difference. They've, to your point, really finished on a nice run of form. And that includes a win over Detroit at Keyworth in the regular season finale. That game kicked off to start the day at 4 o'clock Eastern. A lot in that from Budati. Half a minute to go. A draw here would see Louisville to 70 points. That's still a team record. They won't add another shutout. They'll have 15 when it's all said and done. 13 from Kyle Morton and a pair from Danny Fondes when needed, including tonight. His 5th start may well be his 5th win of the year in goal. Del Piccolo walks it forward. Is there something special here? Lucia Galusa, that was denied. Del Piccolo scoops it up. Lappert brought down by Perpa. Header up from Tosh, who's going to finish, it appears, on 9 goals. Won't quite get to double figures, which would be the prop bet of the century if you had picked it before the year began. Yellow card goes to Tosh, and make no mistake, Danny Cruz could pull him off and replace him with nobody, he would.
Yeah, he's got no more substitutions, unfortunately. He's going to really be banking on the Tosh to keep calm in these remaining 2 minutes of the game, because he's absolutely massive for this Louisville City team. As you just spoke about, 9 goals from centre-back is kind of unforeseen a goal return. He's the ability to stop goals going at one end and score at the other. Priceless to have a player like that in your team. Leadership, but also being able to take responsibility in big moments and score goals for your team. So definitely, I think Danny Cruz would probably want to concede a goal rather than for Sean Tosh to get a second yellow card in this game. So hopefully he's able to keep a level head for these remaining 2 minutes.
Well, he's certainly hoping to be able to get the bird in the hand and the bird in the bush, but we'll see. Stoppage time presented by Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. Another 100 seconds left.
Can Hartford steal the winner?
What a story it could be. The tail end of Tab's short-lived run at the outset of what they hope is a long existence as the Hartford head coach. Tapped off the heel of Martinez after a lot of chaos. And an important deflection to stem the tide.
I thought there might be an opportunity to see one more moment of magic from Martinez as the clock ticks down.
Well, it won't turn into a pumpkin this offseason. Hartford may well be inclined to render his services again next year. Perez, he found an opening. Bounces down Masoso. He goes down. It's a penalty. And Louisville's going to have a chance to win it, perhaps on the final kick of the regular season. And Perpa in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And I think it was 87 minutes when I said, Mike, can Hartford see this game out? Just before halftime, they conceded the volley for Del Piccolo. There's less than 60 seconds left in this game before full time, and they concede a penalty. Absolutely heartbreaking for Hartford, but it's a poor challenge. Dangles a leg, no chance of getting the ball, takes down Matoso. Opportunity here for Louisville City to take the lead and really finish the regular season with a bang.
Well, it won't be a 6th attempt from the spot this year for Tosh. He won't get his chance at 10 because Cameron Lancaster is ready for this moment. 2 goals this season on mothballs most of the campaign. Lancaster has a chance for a tremendous finishing highlight. Lancaster scores! Cameron Lancaster, with the last kick of the season, puts Louisville ahead of Hartford.
Absolute heartbreak for Hartford, but they only have themselves to blame. Their defending has been the Achilles heel consistently week after week, and again here, you're about to leave a very difficult place, 1-1, you get a point out of the game. Lancaster makes no mistake, sends the keeper the wrong way, buries it into the bottom right-hand corner of the goal. Goalkeeper wasn't even making a dive. Louisville City finish off the season with 3 points at home. The positive momentum continues.
Momentum is real, Danny Cruz said. Cameron Lancaster makes sure it is firmly in Louisville's corner as the postseason approaches. Hartford, one last gasp. Lancaster pressing, Martinez forward, Tosh the header. Offside. That's 1 whistle, not 3.
I think I had your crystal ball this time, Mike.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be the win record, the point record, the shutout record. It's a #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. The club's all-time leading goal scorer back in the goal column to win it. And the captain scores an absolute stunner. Louisville 2, Hartford 1. The regular season is complete. Louisville finishes with a win. Tab Ramos, who once coached an under-20 Danny Cruz, embraces. And Louisville's headed into the postseason with momentum on their side with a 2-1 victory as they add one last exclamation point at Lynn Family Stadium with the #1 seed already in tow.
And everything just seems to be coming together for Louisville City. You know, we spoke about Lancaster coming into the game. What was he trying to accomplish? That penalty kick and getting himself on the goal scoring sheet will be massive for him going forward. Whether he starts games or he comes into the games, getting himself on the score sheet does wonders for his confidence, and that's what his team need him to have going into the postseason and into the playoffs. So much excitement for both of these teams going forward. Congratulations, Louisville City, regular season champions. Now can they go on and solidify that in the playoffs?
Post-game presented by the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety. It is coming up next. Penalties giveth and they take it the way. Louisville wins it 2-1.
It all starts with a smile. To show you care, offer a sign of love, welcome someone home. Even when we don't see each other, or share a room, even without words, smiles bring us together. Let's keep yours healthy. Mortensen Family Dental. Schedule online at mortensondental.com.
You want to
tough truck?
Take a look at this Toyota Tacoma. The best-selling truck in its class 17 years in a row.
Want to know why? Let's go for a ride. We went to an off-road park to see what the rugged new Tacoma can really do.
And we were blown away.
With multi-terrain select, you can go from rocks to mud and sand just like that.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about.
During Toyota's fall truck season, save on a new Tacoma with new vehicles arriving daily, plus 2-year no-cost maintenance.
Nobody knows trucks like Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome to U of L Health Heart Hospital, an exciting chapter in the Jewish hospital story. If these walls could talk, you would hear stories of over 40 medical firsts. As the area's only heart hospital, we focus on comprehensive heart care, where academic research pioneers innovative treatments, and a world-class network of experts offers life-changing care. Here, your heart is in the right place.
This postgame presented to you by the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety. And Paolo Del Piccolo scores a memorable goal. He's not the only one. Lancaster essentially walks it off tonight. And Danny Cruz and the boys in purple pick up their 22nd win in the home finale. Let's take a look at the Toyota move of the game. Toyota, let's go places. Cut back ball. Well, it's not the move that purple wants to remember, but it leads to a Louisville win.
And Lancaster makes no mistake here, burying this into the back of the net, getting himself on the score sheet, doing what he likes to do, feel good. That's the kind of confidence that he wants going into the playoffs, and that'll do wonders for him and his team.
His third of the year in just his 6th appearance, and the most minutes he's played in about 4 months' time. Match summary is presented by Liquor Barn. We start just short of halftime, and it's a goal worth watching again and again and again.
Literally the 45th minute, and bang, Del Piccolo makes no mistake, thundering this volley into the back of the net. Odell, waving to family in the crowd, was getting nowhere near the ball, gave Louisville City the lead just before halftime.
And just before halftime, the response from Hartford. Johnson not quite able to put it on frame.
Great opportunity here, just a little bit more composure to find the back of the net, but puts it wide. That would have given his team a great opportunity to get the level pegging just before halftime.
But they would find level pegging. About 15 minutes remaining. Budati does the work, and then a little skill there from Ariel Martinez.
Budati with the low cross and delivery, and a moment of magic from Martinez gives his team the equalizing goal. However, it wasn't over yet.
4th minute of stoppage time. Masoso goes down. And with the 3 minutes already gone, Lancaster delivers.
Poor defending again from Hartford, heartbreaking, let themselves down in the closing minutes of the game. And Lancaster made no mistake burying the ball into the back of the net.
Full-time stats are presented by River City Flooring. And Chris, chance for your final thoughts on this one?
Hartford did get a little bit better in the second half when Louisville City made a number of changes, but just not enough. Louisville consistently find a way to get the job done, winning the game in the final seconds. This is why they've been number 1 over the course of the season. And I think it's a great moment for them. Great moment for the captain tonight with that goal. A great moment for Danny Cruz.
2 stats of note, 7 offside for Hartford, and also 1 missed penalty. We agree on that. They could have had one in the first half. Here's the bracket, and if the Tampa Bay and Memphis results remain as is, this will be the bracket.
Yeah, I think everybody will be licking their lips at that Florida derby, Tampa Bay Rowdies versus Miami FC. Everything to play for. The fans, that's definitely the matchup that the fans want. So much intensity and passion and rivalry in the atmosphere. Looking forward to a lot of these clashes.
Hartford finishes 18 points below the line, but in their best form. Yep, all of it. Eat all of it. Tonight's final score is brought to you by Gorski Law Office. Louisville City will open the postseason against the highest numbered seed remaining on October 29th. Kickoff time will be announced at a later date once we have an opponent. Until then, for Chris Nurse and our entire Vista NEP crew, Mike Watts saying, Louisville wins it 2-1. We'll see you in the playoffs.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.